Let me get you all pissed off right now. But let me give you a little background on myself. I've been harassed a couple hundred times by cops here in Howard County. My sister told them in the 80s. Every time I was a force that his new recruits, young kids they look like, was yelling at him, they were going to report him unless he stopped his excessive force of me in my home. I've had the SWAT team down like Floyd when I did not put any resistance whatsoever. This was just in 2015. They don't forget what my sister told them, even though she'd been dead 10 years. She died in 2005. So I don't like the police. I still think there's some good ones. But then three of them lied and quit against it. Outright lied. And smiled about it. Especially a Robert Bates back in the 80s too. Sergeant Smith and Sergeant Hammond lied like hell. So what I'm about to tell you will probably shock you. All these cops on blacks in New York with a chokehold, somebody for selling cigarettes on the corner. But George Floyd, okay, here's this humongous guy, high on drugs, adrenaline flowing like crazy. They're trying to arrest. He fights. Takes 4 little cops to take him to the ground. That's what they're told to do. Take him down. And hold them down until I'm eating some stovetop for my dinner. I got shake barbecue chicken in the oven. Got another half an hour, but George Floyd was fighting him. I had 5 or 6 SWAT team on top of me. I didn't know it. They knocked me unconscious and fractured my skull against my front wall, cement wall. They threw me and pounced on me. I got pictures of cuts and bruises all over my body from them. Did they hold me for maybe 4 or 5 minutes after I was unconscious already and not moving? Yeah. What would have happened if they would have let George Floyd up? Now they got him under control. He can't hurt them, the officers. He also can't hurt somebody else walking by. He also can't hurt himself, like running into the safest thing for George Floyd. Get him on the ground and hold him until he stopped fighting. They didn't know he had a heart condition and was 5 times over the legal limit for fentanyl that could kill him, 5 times more than anybody could survive. They held him. He was fighting. He was screaming. Yeah, the one on the neck didn't stop him breathing. The guy on the back probably did because it held him on the ground and it's hard to expand your lungs when somebody's sitting and pressing your lungs against ground, pavement. It's just like Freddie Gray here in Baltimore. The other prisoner on the other side of the paddy wagon said every time they stopped at lights, they heard like Freddie Gray was banging the walls like crazy. Freddie Gray was arrested many times, and each time he'd hurt himself to go to the hospital instead of to jail. When blacks stop. When 3 or 4, maybe as much as 5% of you blacks commit 70% of the violent crimes in America, are crimes. When are we going to be able to have our kids walk the streets without the threat of violence? The blacks to hate whites so much that they hate themselves too. And don't care about life, liberty, or tomorrow. But I've been thinking of starting a business for whites only. Making nooses. Different colors, different sizes, different lengths of rope. I can do it with a few employees here in my home. Right. They can buy a noose and end it all. In other words, we're not only doing it to the blacks to make them hate themselves and the color of their skin. We've convinced white people to hate their self and the color of their skin they were born, not Asian. Hey, mom, white instead of beige white or sandy white. The police are not your friend by any way, shape, or form. But we need them. And they're trained to do their job where the least amount of people will possibly get hurt. They didn't pull out tasers. They didn't pull out their guns to shoot Floyd. They thought they would try to wrestle him to the ground and hold him until he calmed down. Did it cause a death? He had a heart problem and overdose of fentanyl. And heightened adrenaline flow for fighting the cops. Those cops should be honored for doing their job and trying to keep our streets safe instead of fired all across this country for doing their job and being put in jail when the lying son of a bitch is like jail. When they use excessive force against me twice. And one time I have it on video. OT1. Right here. On YouTube. It's called October 1st, OCT1. And 2 and 3 is other videos of the incident too. They should be fired, reprimanded, or put in jail, depending on how excessive it was against an old crippled man like me. What do you think? I don't see one comment over there. I don't know if you're allowed to have comments. I don't know how to set that up. But now the trial's going. They got the National Guard there. Everybody's ready to riot again. Why do you think you're stereotyped by the cops? You should be turning in these people, getting them out of your neighborhoods, getting them off the streets, where there's only about 1% of you committing the crime instead of 5%. Then you'd stop being stereotyped. Like us white people, only 1% of us commit violent crimes. We do a lot of white collar crimes, though. I've been thinking of writing a letter to Rich. Rich is a racist name, but look, crackers too. How dare they put a defamatory thing about white people on a box? I miss my Aunt Jemima pancakes. When are they going to stop deleting history and changing history? A lot of it is lies. But to change it to another lie isn't right either. For slavery. Yeah, let's find all those rich black people that own garment factories that had indentured servants, but they were basically slaves. All those black plantation owners in the South. There were dozens of them that had black slaves and white slaves. Let's go to Africa, Northern Africa, the Ottoman Empire. All those blacks owed white people restitution for slavery of us up until 1919. Or we can just say that's our history. It wasn't nice. People took advantage of other people all the time, and they're still doing it today. They're taking advantage of you and me, except I'm woke. My brain is woke, and not what they're calling woke now. Your all brains are asleep. How can you be ashamed of yourself if you never did anything? Never owned a slave. You might have lied to some black people. You might have defrauded them. But you probably did that to white people too. Or you might have treated them with respect and helped them and stuff. But you still hate yourself? And you black people? Stop hating yourself. Stop hating everybody. Stop running around kicking elderly people because they were white, knocking them to the ground, or Asians knocking them to the ground. Stop the hate of yourself and other women. Stop hating Muslims. They've lived here since the beginning of USA, America. They came over almost with the Pilgrims. Muslims did. And we lived in peace until our Democrats, our warmongering, and our corporate world, like Facebook, Google, Amazon, Twitter, wants to keep stirring the pot, making us all hate each other, instead of standing up and saying, wait a minute, it's too late. Back what's ours. As the population of America and the world, people are standing up all around the world now against their governments. Thank God for the internet. They can block a lot of people, but they can't block everybody. Not even Chinese can block everybody. Because we don't make that much money. High car insurance rates. High homeowners or renters insurance rates because we don't live in a nice neighborhood. All redlining When are we going to stop this and take back fairness, honesty, where we all work together? And we forget about color like Martin Luther King wanted us to do. But no, Black Teachers Union is, yeah, they still belong to the main union, but black congressmen and stuff down in Washington. Annapolis even has a black caucus that gets together. As long as you want to be separate, you're going to stay separate. And you're going to cause more and more hatred by white people against you if you keep this shit up. Of saying everything we say is racist. Until you can't. I saw two Asian people getting beat up. Who are they getting beat up by? Black people. Why? They didn't do anything. Stop the hate. Get educated. We're all beaten down in life. We all have to fight for the little bit of leftovers we have. While the billionaires and the multimillionaires keep getting richer and paying us less. So that's enough tonight. That's 20 God up there. He goes by a lot of different names. Do this. Even though there's 6 or 7 different main religions that believe their God is the only true God. When there's only one God up there and all the religions are basically about 90-95% identical. Stop the hate of religion too. Honor people who they are. Pray when you eat dinner. Have family dinners again. Just don't hand out McDonald's to everybody to their room and play their video games. Get together as a family. Pray for a better tomorrow. Pray that your children don't come into a totally screwed up world. Hundreds of famous quotes by him about life, happiness, and how you judge people. Change that. But I'm a white old man. You ain't going to listen to me. But listen to your peer groups that want to come in and help. Better education with vouchers where you can go to private schools and learn. And they don't give up and just pass you. God bless you all. And you have a blessed evening. Be prepared of what might be coming around the corner tomorrow or next month. Because people in the world is getting very upset about